It's Friday, September 11th, 2020, and welcome to the reading of the Record Courier. As you may know by now, my name is Pam, and let's begin today's reading with the area deaths. Willard James Dickerhoof Sr., 78, of Ravenna, was called to heaven on September 8th. A memorial service and celebration of his life will be held at 2 p.m. on Saturday, September 12th, 2020, at the Full Gospel Mission Church, 887 West Spruce Street in Ravenna. A fellowship will immediately follow. Leroy W. Kendrick, 67, of Ravenna, passed away Friday at Akron City Hospital. Calling hours will be Saturday, September 12th, from 11 a.m. until the time of the funeral service at 12 p.m. at the United Church of Jesus Christ, 420 South Prospect Street in Ravenna. Face masks are required and social distancing rules will please be observed. It is with great sadness that the family of Cora Elizabeth Stackelberg, nee Slater, announced her passing on September 5th. A private family remembrance is planned to be held in Vermont at a later date. Well, that concludes the Friday area death notices, and now for our first article. Black Lives Matter protest. Kent State students demand change after racism at the Rock, by Kristen Cano. Black Lives Matter protest and march at Kent State University. Kamalan Gillespie and Tori Wenson, both organizers of the protest, led rally calls at Oscar Ritchie Hall. Hundreds gathered Thursday on Kent State's Risman Plaza for a Black Lives Matter protest prompted by the racist statements painted on the Rock, with participants voicing their concerns that the campus does not provide a sense of safety among the Black community. This is bigger than the Rock. We want Kent State to be a safe space for all of us, and this is a chance for Kent State to grow, protest co-organizer Tony Wenson said. We're not going to dwell on what happened, and we're going to focus on the positive. We need all of you to stand up. Organizers estimated about 600 protesters marched from Oscar Ritchie Hall, which houses Kent's Pan-African Studies program and is named for the university's first African-American faculty member, and continued to the Rock at the base of Hilltop Drive, which has served as a canvas for racist statements the past 2 weeks. In 3 cases, messages and symbols in support of the Black community were covered with the words "White Lives Matter," and most recently, "Blacks have no home here." The most recent message prompted university officials to issue a statement that they are considering removing the Rock, fencing it off, or installing security cameras. It's not just a direct result of what happened at the Rock, it's about how Kent State handled it and how they kept letting it happen to us. I felt like if they really wanted to make a change and really felt what was happening was impacting us and making their students feel uncomfortable, they would have stopped it from happening 3 times, protest co-organizer Kamalan Gillespie said. With that, let's move on. Streetsboro to provide free meals, by Krista Cano. Streetsboro City Schools announced Tuesday that it will immediately begin offering free breakfast and lunch to all K-12 students who are present during the day. The district is able to provide the free meals because the U.S. Department of Agriculture is extending several flexibilities for school meals through the remainder of the year. As our nation reopens and people return to work, it remains critical our children continue to receive safe, healthy, and nutritional food, USDA stated. The free meals will continue until December 31st or until funding is no longer available, at which time status will return to paid, free, and reduced rates based on qualifications and applications. The district is asking families to continue to return free and reduced meal applications to avoid any gaps in benefits. Next article, longtime Great Expectation director resigns. Director of RBC Singers will fill in, expected to be named interim, by April Helms. In Twinsburg, the longtime director for the choruses and ensembles at Twinsburg City Schools recently turned in his resignation. Randall Leno, who had been with the Twinsburg City Schools for 13 years and who directed the high school and middle school choirs as well as ensembles such as Great Expectations and Mood Swings, resigned effective August 31st. The school board accepted his resignation at its September 2nd meeting. In his resignation, submitted August 30th, Leno said that he loved every moment of my 13 years in the Twinsburg City Schools and will always remember the thousands of students I have had the pleasure of teaching. Leno said he had been hesitant to continue teaching at the beginning of the school year until he had a conversation with Superintendent Catherine Powers. Upon discussion with Mrs. Powers, I decided I would give it a try, he said, but added, over the past 2 weeks, I've decided it is time for me to be done teaching. I applaud the efforts of everyone to achieve the district goals for reopening, and I understand the stress you are all under. I leave with the greatest respect for you all, and I know this is not the way any of us would prefer for the end of my time at Twinsburg to happen. Powers said that the school board, at its next meeting on September 23rd, would be asked to name Brian Detweiler, who also helps direct the high school ensembles, the interim director. Detweiler will assume Leno's schedule at the high school. Detweiler directs the RBC Singers, an ensemble of 7th and 8th grade students. Powers said the district will post the opening for Leno's position this winter and will probably post it nationally. She added she wasn't sure if the competitive ensembles would travel or compete outside of the district this year due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Great Expectations Show Choir is an award-winning group comprised of students selected by audition from the choirs of Twinsburg High School. Mood Swingers Show Choir is an all-female ensemble from the high school. Scott Hamler serves as director for these groups, both of which compete with other high school ensembles. Up next, Portage County Juvenile Detention Center looking for someone to check policies and procedures by Eileen McCrory. Officials who oversee the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Center are planning to hire an outside party to check out the center's policies and procedures after a former facility guard was accused of having sex with one of the juvenile inmates. The board, which normally meets quarterly, called a special meeting on Tuesday to discuss the aftermath of the incident. The 2 juvenile court judges on the board, Portage County Probate Juvenile Judge Robert Berger and his Geauga County counterpart Judge Timothy Grendel, said several incidences that had happened under the past superintendent had led them to seek an outside, unbiased look at the detention facility. Alicia Craven, 24 of Stowe, was indicted July 20th in the Portage County Common Pleas Court on charges of sexual battery, a third-degree felony, after a June incident involving a 16-year-old boy who was an inmate at. Since Craven's arrest, the Portage Geauga Juvenile Detention Facility Board fired former facility superintendent Dave Roby, who had been in the role since last December. Greg Lomax, a supervisor at the center who has worked there since 2000, is acting superintendent. The judges said during the meeting on Tuesday that there were other incidences too, such as staff buying pizzas for special inmates as special treatment, or the improper setting of discipline levels for some juvenile inmates who were in trouble. Berger said the detention center has policies, but not all had been enforced. We did not follow through with the execution of those policies. We did not emphasize to our staff that they had to follow those policies come hell or high water. And I believe they understand now that's what Judge Grindle and I expect from them, Berger said. Berger said finding someone to look through the facility's policies and procedures was difficult during the pandemic. They contacted one source in Washington, D.C., but found the cost would have been over $70,000, which was unreasonable for the JDC. It was also unclear if those people would have been able to see the JDC in person. I need someone to come here, walk through here, and assess everything, Grendel said. You can't do that from long distance. I mean, it just doesn't work. Built nearly 50 years ago, the center on Infirmary Road, just south of the Portage County Jail, was renovated in 1999 and has a capacity of 46, but usually only houses around a quarter of that figure. Grendel suggested the board hire Ronald Stoller, superintendent of the Medina County Juvenile Detention Center, to do the walkthrough instead. Berger said he has spoken with the Medina County Juvenile Judge Kevin Dunn, who said he could make Stoller available to the detention center. If he sees something, he'll say something, and he'll say it emphatically, which is what we need, Berger said of Stoller. However, the board has not yet approved hiring Stoller, as at least one board member wanted to speak with Stoller outside of the judges and see how much he would charge before the board approved the hire. A second special board meeting to discuss hiring Stoller is set for next Monday, September 14th at 4:30 p.m. Moving on. More than 60 attend Kim Sellers golf outing for multiple sclerosis. The Kim Sellers Foundation 11th Annual Golf Outing for Multiple Sclerosis, held August 7th at Grantwood Golf Course, was an overwhelming success. Kim, a resident of Aurora since 1999, mother of 4 daughters, Aurora Greenman, and former WZAK Radio 1 personality, was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1992. In 2000, Kim created the Kim Sellers Foundation, and since has devoted her life to increasing awareness and providing education to individuals and their families who are living with this potentially devastating and mysterious disease. The golfers and event volunteers from northeastern Ohio, Wisconsin, Georgia, and Pennsylvania rallied together to ensure a safe and fun-filled event. Support for the event came from special sponsors, whole sponsors, and donors from individuals, corporations, and organizations throughout northeast Ohio. Over 60 Aurora residents were in full swing of their support of this worthy multiple sclerosis fundraiser. Some of Aurora's major sponsors included Salvatore and Michelle Zangale, the Sanson Company, Brad and Brooke Rosselot, Missoula's Market, Aurora Councilwoman Kathleen Grandillo, and Mitch Camp, Walden, Head Golf Professional. Additional major sponsors were PNC Bank, First Energy Foundation, Vanessa Whiting, CEO, Popeyes, and Stratos Wealth Management. Anyone interested in donating, volunteering, or learning more about the Kim Sellers Foundation can visit www.KYMSellers, Foundation.org. Up next, Crestwood discusses income tax strategy by Kristen Cano. 4 Crestwood Board of Education members have voiced support of a unique strategy to entice voters to approve the proposed 1.5% continuous earned income tax, but the body is still determining how to best communicate that strategy to the community. Board President Karen Schultz, Vice President Kristen Kavanaugh, and members Todd Monroe and Timothy Herron each stated that they support ceasing collection on the $1.4 million emergency levy passed last year if the new income tax passes on November 3rd. Board member Bonnie Lovejoy did not offer her opinion at Tuesday's board meeting. To do that, the board would have to vote November 4th on a resolution to cease collections on if voters approve the income tax's passages and send the approved resolution to the county auditor on November 5th so that the tax rate can be set by the end of that week. However, the board is also considering passing a resolution prior to the election to make their intentions clear. An initial resolution is not required by law. We're still trying to get the wording on that because not too many schools voluntarily do this, Schultz said. One of the issues, Schultz said, is that the wording of the initial resolution can in no way promote the levy and must simply state the facts. Another issue is that because there is little precedence for ceasing collection on a levy, the board does not know if they need the exact same vote breakdown on the initial resolution and on the second. Monroe asked whether the initial resolution was necessary or if the board could make a unified formal statement. Schultz said she would contact the district's attorney for clarification, but added that she would like the board to act quickly. The board's next meeting is 7 p.m. on September 22. Moving on, come to Twinsburg Historical Society's scavenger hunt at the Old Time Fair on September 12th and 13th by Marty Franks, Twinsburg Historical Society. This will be the only non-virtual part of this year's Old Time Fair, and there are rewards. The information about Twinsburg's history, of course, is found by exploring the town square and by looking along Church Street. Questionnaires will be available on our website starting on September 5th at www.twinsburg.org. twinsburghistoricalsociety.org, or may be picked up at the museum on September 12th from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. and September 13th from noon until 5 p.m. Completed questionnaires should be returned during those times and exchanged for a small prize. Prize donors so far include Handel's Ice Cream, George's Donuts, Dairy Queen, Our Fun House, Twyla's Treasures, 91 Nutrition, and Mastercrafts. Answers don't have to be perfect, and guessing is encouraged. If the weather is nice, look for us in the parking lot in front of the barn. If not, we'll be in the barn or museum. In either case, both buildings will be open for tours with masks and distancing. And we will be selling raffle tickets for our amazing dollhouse and quilt. You can also register to vote, pick up an absentee ballot application, and get information about the census and volunteering to be a poll worker. We are happy to announce our 2020 scholarship winner. Drew Baird is a 2020 Twinsburg High School grad who spent many hours doing so much maintenance and repair work. He was unfailingly cheerful as he gave of his time and energy. He will be entering Wooster in the fall. Our absolute best wishes go with him. He loves history, and he promises to be back to help us, and we can't wait. Our next open house is Sunday, September 27th. The barn and the Riley House will be open too. DTJ Clam Bake set for September 20th. Tickets by reservation only. As the leaves change colors and the air is crisp, one starts to think, it's clam bake time. The community is invited to the DTJ Clam Bake on September 20th from 1 to 3 p.m. Attendance is by reservation only, $26 per bake, with extra clams at $9 per dozen. Bakes include 1 dozen clams, a half a chicken, yam, corn, bouillon soup, and coffee. Hot dogs, chips, and pop for children will be available for $4. Masks are to be worn while in line and at the bar, where Check's beer will be available. For reservations, call Bruce Merrick at 440-543-8494. DTJ is located in Auburn Township at the intersection of Bartholomew and Quinn Roads. Reservations must be made by September 17th. Tickets will not be available at the door. Our next article. That text, seemingly from FedEx, USPS, or UPS, could be a scam, by Sarah Brookbank. Did you get a text from the USPS, or the Postal Service, FedEx, or UPS asking you to click a link about your package? It could be a scam. The Federal Trade Commission said scammers sent a text message with a fake shipment tracking code and a link to update your delivery preferences to get access to personal information. In one version of the scam, the link takes you to a fake Amazon website, the FTC said. A package delivery scam text that was sent to an Inquirer employee, the Federal Trade Commission said to not click any links from unexpected text messages. There, you're invited to take a customer satisfaction survey, and you might just win a prize. But to get it, you have to give them your credit card number to pay for the shipping, the FTC said. These types of scams are types of phishing, the Better Business Bureau said. These either contain a tracking link or a message that the shipper is having difficulty delivering a package to you, or most recently, a link to update delivery preferences, the BBB said. Clicking the link either takes you to a form that asks for personal identifying information or to a site that downloads malware onto your computer. If you do get one of these texts, do not click the link. If you get an unexpected message, don't click on any links. If you think it could be legit, contact the company using a website or phone number you know is real. Don't use the information in the text, the FTC said. You can also report spam text messages to the FTC. Report it on the messaging app you use. Look for the option to report junk or spam. Copy the message and forward it to 7726, which also spells out spam. Report it to the Federal Trade Commission at ftc.gov/complaint. Up next, Portage Sports Stories. Allie Korosek is back home by Tom Nader. Allie Korosek is back home in Portage County. She is back on the sidelines coaching volleyball, and it feels good. In fact, it is smiles around at the moment for the second-year Garfield coach. Her G-men have opened the 2020 season with a series of wins that offer evidence that the season could include some special moments. Wins that offer glimpses of what the future might look like for the program. Korosek can create the vision in her mind and has worked to set it into action. She inherited a program that already was taking steps forward, but is not ready to let that stand on its own. Korosek is challenging her team to grow, while also establishing opportunities for the youth of Garrettsville, as young as early elementary, to be introduced to the sport. This is what it looks like when a coach is not simply interested in coaching a team, but instead building on a program and enhancing a culture. If it sounds dramatic, it's meant to, because that is when a sports can turn from an extracurricular activity into something that opens up doors to all of the characters and qualities that a sport can provide. What may seem like the simple and right things to do in Korosek's eyes, it is an energy that's not all programs can say they have successfully harnessed. Allie is doing a phenomenal job of developing our volleyball program, Garfield Athletic Director Jim Flagger said. She has had a hands-on approach with the entire program, which really excites me. She is involved not only with the middle school program, but also with the youth program at the local YMCA. I'm extremely excited about the direction that our program is headed in. Korosek, who was a multi-sport star, maiden name Roach, and graduated from Windham High School in 2005 before earning a degree in education from Kent State University in 2009. She was the varsity coach at Garfield 11 years ago. Then life took her to Alaska and Colorado alongside her husband Mike, who's in the military. Korosek and her family of 5 moved back to Portage County about 6 years ago, and she had always hoped for a return to coaching. I wanted to get back into it, Korosek said. I began coaching our JV team a couple of years ago and was an assistant with Coach Deb Wardell. Being a part of her staff really made the transition easier for me when I took over as head coach last year. To have a year under her belt as a head coach before the pandemic season of 2020 has been helpful, when the key terms for practically anyone and everyone are adapt and adjust. Korosek is doing the same, and her G-men are responding in big ways. Our girls are handling everything very well. I've been proud of them, said Korosek, who added that she introduced big goals to her team. Goals she felt to be obtainable, but seeing is not always believing. An early season win over Southeast, a longtime power in the county, proved to be a big confidence boost, according to Korosek. I think that was a win that let our team know that they can do it, she said. Korosek senses the possibilities, and it seems her players are starting to recognize them as well. And it feels good. Our next article, Portage County Crime Reports by Eileen McClory. Remember, crime reports are a sampling of incidences responded to by local law enforcement agencies and are not intended to be all-inclusive. In Broomfield, a 29-year-old Akron man was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 5th. He allegedly took about $38 worth of merchandise. A court date was scheduled. A 20-year-old Broomfield woman was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 5th. She allegedly took about $100 worth of merchandise. She has pleaded not guilty and was released on a recognizance bond. A 64-year-old Kent woman was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 3rd at Walmart. She has pleaded not guilty and was released on a recognizance bond. A 35-year-old Kent man was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 3rd at Walmart. He has pleaded not guilty and was released on a recognizance bond. A 32-year-old Akron woman was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 3rd at Walmart. A court date was scheduled. A 50-year-old Akron man was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor after an incident on September 4th at Walmart. A court date was scheduled. A 44-year-old Akron man was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after an incident on September 6th at Walmart. He has pleaded not guilty. Wow, it seems like Walmart's the place to go. In Kent, Jeffrey Dean Jones II, 25, of 1030 East Nimisila Road, number 2, Akron, was charged with failure to comply with the order or signal of a police officer, a third-degree felony, after an incident on Mogador and Summit Street on Sunday. A warrant was issued. A 49-year-old homeless man was charged with theft, a first-degree misdemeanor, after he allegedly took a backpack with about $200 inside from the Parta garage on East Erie Street on August 28th. A warrant was issued. A 36-year-old Kent man was charged with obstructing official business, a second-degree misdemeanor, and having an opened container, a minor misdemeanor, after an incident on Monday. A warrant was issued. In Ravenna, Patrick Boggs, 50, of West Main Street, Ravenna, was charged with domestic violence, a third-degree felony. According to court records, he has 3 prior convictions for domestic violence. A temporary protection order was issued. He was placed in jail in lieu of a 10% of a $20,000 bond. In Ravenna Township, Nicholas Hall, 31, homeless, was charged with burglary, a second-degree felony, after allegedly breaking into a Summit Road home while 2 people were present in the home. He was placed in jail in lieu of a $75,000 bond. Keith Holcomb, 31, whose last known address was 3055 Summit Road, Ravenna Township, was charged with receiving stolen property, a 4th-degree felony, and offenses with purpose to conceal or destroy identity, a 4th-degree felony. Holcomb allegedly attempted to list and sell a 2005 Yamaha on social media on August 17th. In Streetsboro, Thomas Ingram, 38, of 3864 Summit Road, Ravenna, was charged with receiving stolen property, a 5th-degree felony, after allegedly possessing $4,300 worth of still gas equipment on Saturday on Pike Parkway. A warrant was issued for his arrest. Well, that concludes the reading of the Record Courier for Friday, September 11th. Please be safe until we meet again. You be blessed and do what you can to make this a great day.